Hello, everybody, and welcome to another live session. I really look forward to these. I hope that you do too. So we're just going to spend a couple of minutes waiting for you to arrive. And if you're joining today, I hope that you'll uh, put your name in the comments to let us know that you're here with us today. And this live session is special today because it's my first live session with a guest. And I'm going to introduce Valeria here in a couple of minutes. And I'll just remind you of a couple of things before we get started. First of all, if you're watching this on the replay, you can still post your comments and questions in the comments section, and I'll still try to answer them. I can see that some are joining now, so make sure to say hello in the comments. I just want to encourage you to take advantage of this Facebook page, not just when we're doing a live, but you can ask your questions anytime. All you have to do is make a post. If you're looking for a speaking partner, just make a post in the group and ask for somebody to be your partner, because that's one of the most important things, especially for speaking, is just to have somebody to speak with you. Okay, so let me introduce my special guest today. This is Valeria. Valeria comes from Brazil, and she lives in Montreal now, and she's going to introduce herself, but she's made the journey from living in Brazil to becoming a permanent resident here in Canada. So as she introduces herself, she'll tell you just a little bit about how she came to be where she is now. So hi, Valeria. It's really great to have you with us.
Hi, Jeff. Thanks for having me here today. Hi, everybody. It's really nice to have you here, to be with you right now. So, as Jeff said, my name is Valeria and I'm from Brazil. And my journey learning English started when I was a teenager in Brazil. So, it has been a long journey with lots of ups and downs. But since I decided I would like to live abroad, I realized that English should be part of my everyday life. So I couldn't just go to the class once or twice a week and just do the homework. It wouldn't be enough. So I have to change lots of things on my daily basis. And well, I have been here in Canada for almost 6 years now. And I met Jeff when I was preparing to take an English test. And since then, we have been together. And now I am here today.
You've really accomplished a lot, because to go from just starting to learn English to move to Canada to write the test to become a permanent resident, and now you're an English teacher. And
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I think
Thank you.
that's great. Valeria and I work together uh, teaching English classes. We have group classes, and we teach starting with the very beginners and working our way up. So we're going to get started here in just a moment. I just want to say hello to you. So say hello in the comments. Um, I know who this is. This is Lanira, and Lanira is actually one of our students. She's in one of our group classes, and she's preparing her future to move to Australia. So maybe Lanira, you'll be able to relate to a lot of what Valeria shares, and it's good to have you with us too. I'm sorry I can't pronounce your name, but it's great that you're here too. Okay, so let's uh, let's get started. So today, what we're going to do is we're basically going to go step by step through the speaking section. And when we come to different places in the presentation, I'm going to be asking Valeria some questions directly from a speaking test, and Valeria is going to answer them and just give you an idea of how to answer these questions in the best way possible. So, but before we do that, I'm just going to give you a quick overview of what's involved in the speaking section. Okay, so the speaking section itself, usually it'll be the last thing you do on your test day. So whether you're taking the paper-based test or the computer-based test, the one thing that's the same is that the speaking test is always done face-to-face with an examiner. So whether you're thinking about the computer or a paper-based test, the one thing that is exactly the same is the fact that you'll be speaking with an examiner. So just to give you an idea of what you'll be tested on, first of all is fluency and coherence. And fluency and coherence is just the ability to answer the questions that you're given. Fluency doesn't mean speaking perfectly or not making mistakes. It means actually that if you do make a mistake, you can correct it as you're speaking, or if you need to pause for a moment, that's not going to hinder your fluency. You can even ask a question to the examiner to clarify what they've asked you. None of this is going to affect your fluency. It's just your ability to focus on the question you're asked and use your English speaking ability to answer it as appropriately as possible. You'll be marked on your vocabulary, your use of different words, and again, it doesn't have to be fancy words or any special vocabulary. The key is to use the vocabulary that you know how to use. You don't want to try to memorize phrases or use complicated language that you're not comfortable or confident in using. You'll be measured on your grammar. So if you are relating an experience from the past, you'll be able to use past tense. If you're talking about a situation in the present, you'll use present, or if you're talking about the future. So again, the idea is to just use the grammar that is the best for you to use. Okay, again, it has to be nothing fancy. And then you'll also be marked on pronunciation. So let me just make sure you understand that pronunciation is not your accent. Okay, your accent is who you are. Of course, if you're from Brazil, you're not going to have the same accent as somebody who comes from the Philippines or from Algeria or Egypt or another country. The key is that you just speak clearly. Don't worry about trying to lose your accent. You can still use good pronunciation and keep your accent. So just before we continue, let's say hello to a couple more people that are here. Okay. Hello. I'm not sure where you're from. Are you from? I know you're from either Philippines or Vietnam. Am I right? You can tell me in the comments. And hello to Tino. It's really good to have you with us. And remember, as I continue, you can ask any questions. Hi, Saminda. It's good to have you with us here today, too. And just a reminder that as we go along, if you have any questions, just put them in the comments. And here's another, hi, Mio. It's good to have you with us today, too. And here's Saminda's from Sri Lanka. So welcome all the way from Sri Lanka. It's really exciting to see where you all come from, because it gets a little boring sometimes for Valeria and I here just in Canada, in the same place at the same time. So it's really nice to see where you're coming. Oh, okay, from Myanmar, and that's so. Thanks for sharing that. See, it's really. Oh, okay. Mamduda from Bangladesh. Well, it's great to have you here too. And one more. I don't know who you are, but we're happy you're here as well. Okay, so that's I've just shared briefly what you're going to be tested on when it comes to the speaking section. But let's be clear on what the speaking section is not. Okay, it's not a test of your knowledge or your intelligence. Okay, the ability to speak language is English is not a measure of your intelligence. It's a measure of your English language speaking ability. Okay, you're not expected to be an expert on certain topics. And again, you won't be assessed on the content of what you say. You'll be assessed simply on your English language ability. And when it comes to sharing your opinion, again, you're not being judged on your opinion. So just make sure that you're really clear on the fact that it's measuring your English language ability, and that's all there is to it. Okay, we just a couple of more people saying hello, and Tino's from Zambia. So wow, we look at all the different countries we have already today. Okay, let's keep going. And here's what more specifically you're going to be assessed on when it comes to your English language ability. You're going to be assessed on how well you communicate your opinions. Again, not on the content, but on how you communicate them and how you communicate information. And this is on everyday topics and common experiences. The best thing of all about the speaking section is you're not going to have any problem with the subject or the topic, because the topic of the speaking section is you. You're the main topic. So really, you only have to know your own experience and your own opinions. You'll be asked to use appropriate language. You'll want to structure your ideas, and in a few minutes, I'm going to share with you how you can do that, especially for section 2 of the speaking, and the ability to express your opinion. I know I'm going through this quickly, but again, if you have any more questions, or don't hesitate to post them while we're here together today. Or if you're watching on the replay, put your questions in the comments. Just an overview of some of the most common topics: health and fitness, education, buildings or architecture, technology, maybe questions about the internet, sports, transportation, the environment, shopping, music, the weather, homes and family. And I'm just sharing these common topics with you because when you go looking to listen to things or to read things to help you with preparing for IELTS, don't go to all the academic places. Go to the everyday places where you can just find people talking about everyday subjects. Okay, so just a reminder, you will only be assessed on your English language skills, not the content. So one of the things I want to mention, and Valeria, you can help me with this, is when you come to when you come to, Valeria, when you come to meet the examiner and you have to do your speaking test, how are you feeling? How did you feel when you had to do a speaking test?
Yeah, I would say it's practically impossible to not feel nervous, but I think the most important thing is try to manage how you feel, not to avoid feeling nervous, but trying to keep it under control. So try to not think that it's like an exam.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of the things to understand about the examiner is the examiner might actually be more nervous than you are. Because, especially with the IELTS exam, one of the things that you'll see when you do your test is that the examiner says, we're going to record this for evaluation purposes. And the thing to realize is it's not to reevaluate you or to evaluate you again. What the examiner has to do with that recording is give it to his supervisor or her supervisor, because the examiner is also being examined. So there's a good chance that the examiner is more nervous than you are. So they're under a little pressure too. But I think it's good to just think of it maybe as having a coffee with the examiner or just somebody you're meeting for the first time. And I know that's easier said than done, but like Valeria said, don't pretend that you're not nervous. That doesn't help either. But just do your best to stay relaxed. I guess one of the most important things to do is to make sure you keep breathing.
Yeah, I
Okay,
would say that. Remember to keep breathing in.
take a deep breath if you have to before you speak. It's okay to do that. You're not going to have points taken off for taking an extra breath. Okay. Okay, so let's keep going here, and I just want to share with you before we start really looking at some of the questions, just to avoid some common mistakes. The first thing you want to do is not have answers that are too short. In other words, if you were asked, "Do you like sports?" and you say yes, that's too short. Okay, you might want to say what sport you enjoy or why you enjoy that sport. But also be careful not to have answers that are too long, because when you're, especially in the first part where you're just answering personal questions, just keep it to a minute to 90 seconds at the most. Another important thing is to try to remember that when you're talking with the examiner, you're having a conversation just like you would over coffee or with anybody else. So it's not going to help you to really try to memorize set answers before your test. One reason is you're not sure what you're going to be asked. So you would have to memorize an awful lot of questions to have one prepared for whatever question you're asked. So just remember you're having a conversation and try to be spontaneous, and that may also help you to be more relaxed. One of the other things that happens if you try to memorize answers is you're not really communicating, because you have all these memorized answers stored in your head, and the danger is that you won't really listen to what the examiner is asking you. And just remember, the examiner is interested in you and what you have to tell them. So don't overthink it. Okay. Again, be spontaneous. And as Valeria already mentioned, when it comes to being nervous, try not to panic. Try. If you're not sure of an answer, just say, that's a good question, or give me a moment. I've never thought of that before. Or you can even ask the examiner to repeat the question just to give you a little extra time. to take that breath and before you start speaking. Okay, so we're going to talk about speaking section 1. This is usually about 4 or 5 minutes. It's again on those common topics. And then remember, you're the subject for this section. You're just going to be asked questions about you. So Valeria, are you ready to try speaking section 1?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. So first of all, I'll just show you the questions that we're going to be looking at. What kind of place is your hometown? What do young people do for entertainment in your hometown? And what is the worst thing about living in your hometown? So I'm going to take the slides away so that we can really, you can really listen and see how Valeria is going to answer. Are you nervous, Valeria?
A little bit.
Take the breath. Okay, good. So I'm going to be the examiner. I'm a very nice examiner. I'm not too tough, but here we go. So, Valeria, what kind of place is your hometown?
Well, I was born in Brazil, in a city called São Paulo. If I'm not wrong, it's the biggest city in Brazil. It's about 20 million people living there, so it's really huge. And there's also a couple of cities surrounding São Paulo, so it makes this number even bigger. So it's a city that you have many possibilities in terms of entertainment. You can find many types of restaurants, food from everywhere in the world or most of countries you could find there. It also a very good city for study or making business. So there's a lot of possibilities
That's
to live
great.
there.
So when it comes to entertainment, what do young people do for entertainment in Sao Paulo?
Okay. So from my experience, I remember when I was in my 20s, I would go to restaurants with some friends or with my family or kind of bars after work with some colleagues. We would meet some friends at the shopping mall. We would go to the movies. I remember having some friends that would go to watch soccer soccer games in the field in the stadium because they really like it. So I remember this kind of things. I was doing that.
That's great. Do you miss any of those things now that you're in Canada?
No, no, it's another time
So
of life.
what is the worst thing about living in your hometown?
The worst thing. I would say living in a big city has lots of challenges. Maybe for me, one of the worst would be having too many people around you. So everywhere you go would be a line for example, going to a restaurant would have a line, so many people trying to go to the same place as you would as you were trying to do. And also commuting, so going to work or going to university would take a long time, so it's a very stressful life and tiring life living in a very big city. I would say that.
That's great. Well, thanks for that, Valeria. We're gonna keep moving on in just a couple of minutes. Let's just say hello to just some more people that have joined in from Zambia. Look at and Ghana and Nigeria. So it's really good to have all of you here. You're not from the same country, but you're from the same continent. So welcome, and it's great to see you. Okay, what we're going to do now is, and if you have any comments on how you think Valeria did, you can put them put them in there too. If you just want to send a little, hit the like button and just let her know that she did great. I think she did. So you can just do that as you're listening. So let's go back to the slides for a moment and talk about speaking section 2. And this might be the one that you might feel most nervous about. And this is where the examiner will give you a cue card with the topic. And on that cue card, you'll have 3, maybe at the most 5 questions or bullet points telling you exactly what to include in your talk. And then you're given 1 minute to prepare your talk. And you're also given some note paper and a pencil, and you can take the minute to make a little outline of what you're going to say before you say it. You can even use the notes while you're speaking, but you'll want to be careful that you don't really read anything while you're giving your talk. You might want to glance at your notes. That's perfectly fine. You won't lose marks for that. But just be careful not to read them. And then once you're done your talk, the examiner will just ask you a couple of questions to follow up on that. Okay, so let's take a look at what a typical cue card looks like. So what's in the yellow box is similar to the card that you'll be given. And I know it's a little small on the slide, so let me just read it to you. Describe something you own, which is very important to you. You should say what you use it for, how long you have had it, where you got it from, and then explain why it's so important for you. So actually, when you get your cue card, you're actually given the outline. You're going to answer the question what, how long, where, and why. And so these are the common questions that really help you design your topic. And on the cue card that I just showed you, there was what, how long, and where, and why. But don't hesitate to add in the where and the when and the who. Maybe somebody gave you the something that's valuable for you. So here's what I would suggest before you, as you're preparing to do your 2-minute talk, and what to put in your notes to make your outline. So you have the cue card with some very specific questions, but then automatically just write on your notes these 6 questions: who, what, where, when, why, and how. And if you write these 6 questions on your note paper, you have the specific ones that are on the cue card, like what and where and why. But if you want to just fill in some extra details beyond what you're asked for, which is good to do, you can fill in the other details, like where you got that item, or when you got it, or who gave it to you. So let's do a little exercise together now. Valeria is going to answer and give her talk, how she would give the talk for this question. But I'm going to look at my timer, okay? Because you're given 1 minute to prepare, and so I'm going to give you an idea, actually, of how long 1 minute is, and while we're taking that minute, Valeria is going to prepare prepare her talk. But here's what I want you to do during that minute. I want you to fill in the outline as if you were going to give the talk. Now, don't worry, I won't ask you to do that today, but here's a challenge for you. If you want to, you can practice doing the talk and then make a video on your phone of you giving the talk and post it in the Facebook group, and let us give you some feedback on your talk. So if you're brave enough, uh, don't hesitate to try a talk, a 2-minute talk, and just record it on your phone and post it in the Facebook group. So I'm starting a minute right now. Okay, so take your minute and just make some notes as if you were planning your talk. Okay. Okay. Did that seem like a long time?
It goes
You
fast.
ready? Valeria, did it go by quickly? Okay. Remember, take a breath, Valeria, and any time you're ready, you can start your your talk. Okay.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
Okay, so something that is important for me, off the top of my head, I would say it's a gold necklace that I received from my my grandmother, and she got me it when I turned 15. So I have been holding this necklace for 25 years now, so a very long time. So as a gift from my grandma, it's something that it's really important to me, especially because she's not here anymore. And so it's every time I look at this necklace, it reminds me her. And it's also important for me because I remember my grandmother was a woman who loved using jewelry. So I remember her with not lots, but she loved to use some necklace, some rings. So it's kind of a way to be connected to her. And also because it was a tradition for her. So for every granddaughter, when they turn when then turned 15, she would give the same necklace for every granddaughter. So all my girl cousins and I, we have the same necklace. So it's a kind of an object that connects the whole family. So I would say that.
So Valeria, is that necklace valuable in terms of money?
Well, it's an interesting question. I think I have never thought about that way because, as I said, it's a piece that has an emotional value for me. So I had never I have never the curiosity to have the necklace checked by a jewelry specialist or something like this to make sure that it was made from gold, like a good quality of gold. I have never asked that, but for me, I can assure the money value it has. But for me, the most important thing is the emotional value.
Do you think would it be something that you could replace if you lost it?
No, no, for sure, it wouldn't be easy to replace it. So maybe that's one of the reasons I don't use it very often. I just keep it in a safe place. And I prefer to do this I prefer doing this to taking the risk to lose it. So even if it breaks, it's okay because I don't really use it. But if I lose it, I would be very sad.
That's great. Okay, so let's see your comments. How do you think Valeria did on her 2 minute talk? And by the way, it wasn't even 2 minutes. It was about a minute and a half, minute and 35 seconds, which is just about perfect because everything that was asked of her was, and more was included in that talk. So Valeria, great job. One of one of the questions that came up, and Valeria, you don't. I don't want you to answer this question. I'll answer it for you. But
Okay.
what was your score? How many times did you try it? I'm just going to answer that for Valeria to save her from bragging. Because I remember when you took your test, I'm not going to tell you any exact score, but I remember getting a message from Valeria saying, I got more than I needed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to repeat the test, did you? You got the
No.
score you needed
Yeah. Yeah.
the first time. And that's because you were well prepared. I remember the time and the energy that you put into preparing for that test, and that's why you got the score you needed the first time. So, if you take anything away from today, don't forget how important it is to wait until you're ready and make sure you have a good plan and strategy in place for your preparation. And if you do that, you'll be just like Valeria. You'll get the score you need, probably more than you need, and you won't have to take the test second time. Okay, we're going to keep moving, and we're going to take a look at part 3. Okay, so let's keep going. And part 3 is where you'll be asked to give your opinion, where you'll be asked to share your ideas or to share your thoughts and even share uh, your feelings. So, this is again a very personal section. You're not going to be assessed on what your opinion is or what your feelings or ideas are. Um, you're going to be asked on how you express it in English. And the other part about speaking section 3 is it continues on the same theme or the same topic as the talk that you just gave. So, again, I know that you might feel nervous about sharing your opinion, but just remember you've already been thinking about this for at least 3 or 4 minutes now. You've given a talk, you've prepared, put your ideas on a note paper. You've you've answered a couple of questions about that topic. So basically, section 3 is just an extension of of uh, of your talk. Uh, so what the examiner will say is, he'll just say, "Look, we've been talking about something that you own, which is very important. So the questions I'm going to ask you are related to this." So what I'm going to do, we're going to just keep going. I'm going to close the slides again. So Valeria, let's talk about this thing that we've been talking about, your necklace, which is very important to you. So let's talk about possessions in your country. What kind of possessions give people status in your country?
Okay. Well, I think from my perception of people's status in Brazil, I would say that it depends on where you live, the area per se, but also if you live in a house or in an apartment, what kind of building you live in. I would say also the car you own, um, where you work, depending on your work field. Like, for example, if you work in the IT field, depending, yeah, could be IT field. If you work for a big company, you have more status than other people. Also, your degree or the university you attended, and maybe depending on your group friends, your group of friends, you're close, because if you go to very important places, your clothes would give you more status than other people.
Wow, that's great. Do you think why do you think people need to show their status in society? Why do they need to show their status?
Well, I think it's a very good question. It's difficult to answer, depends on each person's opinion, but maybe because they want to feel that they belong to a group, so they need to show their status, or also because they think if they are considered as someone who has a higher status, their opinion would be more accepted or more listened, more heard. So yeah, it's, I would say that, so to feel that you belong to a place.
Great. Well, Valeria, thanks so much for sharing that today. You did great. I knew you would, but um, uh,
Thank you.
let's look at it. One comment from okay. Thank you, Valeria.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, Valeria does show a lot of confidence when she speaks, doesn't she? But I can tell you were a little nervous, weren't you?
Yeah, yeah, a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah. But I just want you to know that I asked Valeria to help today because at one point, wherever you are right now, Valeria has been at that point.
Yeah.
And so wherever you are in your preparation, wherever you are in your English language ability, Valeria understands and knows what it's like uh, to be in that same situation. So, Valeria, any tips for anybody who's maybe feeling discouraged or feeling that they're not improving fast enough? What would you want to say to them today?
Yeah, like as you said, I pretty much know each feeling that people would feel about taking the English test. And well, the most important thing is I try to remember every day or every time I feel discouraged, I feel that I will fail. I try to remember why I'm doing this. So even though most of, I wouldn't say most of the time, but many days I will feel down. I feel, no, I can do this. It's not for me. I try to think about the reason I'm doing this. So it's bigger than my feeling of failing. So try to have your goal very clear on your mind. Write on a piece of paper and read it every day if you needed to. So it's just, I think if you really want to achieve something, the only way possible is going towards it. So if you stop, what you will have if you stop? Nothing. So even if you have fear or discouragement, go forward, no
That's
matter
great.
what.
Yeah, great. Yeah, and so I just want to share one more thing with you in case you might be interested. As I mentioned earlier, Valeria is now teaching. She teaches classes during the week, and there's if you're interested, um, you can I'm going to post this in the Facebook group. You can get Valeria's. It's a free PDF, and it's Valeria's top 5 tips for learning English. I'll also put the link in the comments. So if you're really interested in Valeria's tips for learning English, you'll also be added to the email list where you can receive daily tips, weekly tips on English, and any news you might be interested in taking classes with Valeria or with me, just English classes to improve your English. Don't hesitate to contact me in the by messenger. Valeria is also a member of this group. You can contact her by messenger as well. So if you have any questions for Valeria, if you have any questions for me, don't hesitate to ask. And when you see the post and the link for getting Valeria's free PDF, make sure that you take the opportunity to do that. Well, Valeria, I think we're going to wrap things up for
Okay.
for now. Does anybody have any last comments or questions that you'd like to ask before we finish? We'll give you a couple minutes to put that in the comments. And just a reminder, if you're looking for a partner, if you want somebody to share your journey with as you prepare for IELTS, this Facebook group is the place to do it. Don't hesitate to make a post if you're looking for someone to help you along the way. Okay, I think we're done for today. Have a great weekend, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week. So all the best. Any last words, Valeria?
No, I just want to say thank you for having me today. It was really good to meet everybody from the group. Not everybody, but many people from the group. So thank you very much for the opportunity.
And it's great to meet you too, Valeria. And maybe we'll have you again sometime to.
Yeah, for sure. My
Okay.
pleasure.
All right. So goodbye,
Okay.
everybody. We'll see you next week.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye.